Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me this morning for my first ever custom live streaming across multiple platforms. My name's Carol Hanson, and I inspire women who have a wardrobe full of clothes but nothing to wear. Today, I want to talk to you and answer the question, how do you know? Because if you want to become a more conscious consumer, then it's important that we know where we are, where we're shopping. It's one of the biggest questions. Who are we buying from? But before I start talking about that, for those of you who don't know me, I'm just going to introduce myself very briefly. My name's Carol Hanson, as I said, and I inspire women who have a wardrobe full of clothes but nothing to wear. As an image consultant, I help them to feel fabulous and look fabulous every time they get dressed. But in 2018, I think I had a woke moment, as it's called. I was doing some research for a blog, and what I found out about the environmental cost of the fashion industry, and not just the environmental cost, but the people cost as well, horrified me. Yes, I'd known that fast fashion wasn't great for the planet, and I've always been a quality over quantity type of person. However, I had not appreciated quite how bad the fashion industry is for the planet. And it is not just the fast fashion industry, but generally it is our overconsumption of fashion and the way that fashion is produced, the way that it impacts on our natural environment and people, and in the name of profit. Now, I'm not here to be an activist. I'm here to talk to you about what we can do differently. And one of my biggest mantras is quality over quantity. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be exclusive. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be expensive. But it does mean that in order to be sustainable and to shop more consciously, you do need to understand who you are buying from. And it can be really tough to get unbiased, impartial, up-to-date advice about brands. Obviously, if you go onto a brand's website or you're reading reports in the media, or maybe affiliated posts, you're going to get a rosy picture about what a brand is doing for its sustainability credentials. So where do you get that independent advice? Well, I'm going to share with you today 5 different sites where you can look and make decisions and just find out more about where you're purchasing from. You can, of course, also buy pre-loved fashion, which for anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge advocate of pre-loved fashion. However, there are times when either you don't want to buy pre-loved, or you can't find what you're looking for in pre-loved, and you may need to just add new to your wardrobe. And in which case, wouldn't it be good if you knew more about the brand you were purchasing from? So let me just share my screen because I want to share with you the brands that I rate and recommend, who are the most impartial, who will give you the best advice. And the first of those is goodonyou.eco. Goodonyou.eco was founded in 2015 in Australia, but it is now global. There is both a website and there is an app that you can download as well, which has a brand directory on, which will be quite handy if you're out shopping or you're just looking around at different things. They have a lot of articles about conscious consumerism and also different brands. They are largely really independent. Are independent in the sense that they are crowdfunded. They are also funded by grants, seed capital. Sorry, just checking my notes. The only question mark I have is that they do have some sponsorship and affiliation links, but they do say on their website that they only do that with the top brands who rate highest on their categories. So again, I would rate them. They are a group, they were started by a group, as I said, in Australia, of people who are campaigners, industry professionals, sustainability expert, and tech developers. So those would be my first go-tos. The second go-to I would have would be Ethical Consumer. Ethical Consumer, as you can see, you may be able to see at the top of the screen, has actually been going since 1989. They are largely funded by consumer subscriptions to their website, to their print and digital magazines. So they're a good place to look, and they're not just focused on fashion. They are focused, as you can see across the top here, on various different categories of consumer goods. One thing I would say about Ethical Consumer is they are a really small, tight-knit team. When I was looking at the fashion and clothing resources this week, I found that some of the information was quite dated, and their rating system, their ratings were quite dated. They were dating from 2017 to 2019, which in today's world is obviously quite dated. Especially as a lot more brands are doing more in terms of increasing their awareness around sustainability and the action that they are taking. So I wrote to their customer service team and asked them when they would be next rating the fashion category, and they told me that that would be updated in July 2020. Excuse me, first time I've ever sneezed when I'm doing a live. So I would definitely say that they are worth checking out, but what I would say is always have a look. They have a date at the top. I'm just going to show you really quickly. They have a date at the top of their reports, their summary, which, as you can see on the designer clothing there, is 2017. What they did also tell me was that if they had got, through their updated databases, if they had got more information, then individual reports would be updated. I did have a look at some brands, and the ones that I looked at certainly hadn't been, but that doesn't mean that everything isn't. The next one I would consider would be, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that, would be Fashion Revolution. And Fashion Revolution is a charity that was established in 2013 following the Rana Plaza disaster, when the garment factory collapsed in Bangladesh, killing 1,138 people and injuring another 2,500. It really shone a light on the fashion industry, and also the practices and what was happening in terms of the exploitation of people. And Fashion Revolution have a fashion transparency index, which they redo every year, and that has been running since 2017. So far there are 4 reports that have been done, so 2017 through to 2020. Well worth having a look at that. They look at 250 different fashion brands. Now, all of these rating systems obviously have a different scoring system and way that they look at things, but what they generally do is they look at environment, they look at people, they look at where they're sourcing from, which is the biggest and most difficult area within the fashion industry because it's quite opaque, it's multi-layered. If you think about, just for a moment, a cotton garment, you've got everything from the growing of the cotton to the harvesting to the weaving to the dyeing to the manufacture, sometimes also the finishing, which could be done elsewhere. and in a different factory, and then distribution, logistics, and then retail. The next one I just want to mention, which I had never heard of before I started doing my research this week, is a site called WikiRate, which, like Wikipedia and the other wiki sites, is an open source platform that is generally updated pretty on a regular basis. They were started a few years ago, and again have I wouldn't say a global team, but they do have a team that's spread out across the world. So it's not just looking at Britain or at America. The final one I want to mention is B Corporation. A B Corporation is a company that puts people and the planet, I won't say above profit, because profit is important and we shouldn't misjudge profit. Profit is important from the element that if we didn't make money, we couldn't reinvest in the business and we couldn't go supporting the people within the business. But B Corporation companies have to go through a stringent certification process to prove what they are doing. So if you have got B Corporation status, and again, this doesn't just cover the fashion industry, it covers a wide range of different companies and industries and consumer goods. So I would always recommend that you could take a look at B Corporation as well. So those are the top 5 that I would recommend as being independent. So that is goodonyou.eco, Consumer.org, although to get any information, you will need to subscribe to them. You can look at the top level information, but you will need to subscribe. It's not a lot of money. It's $29.95 per year. There is also Fashion Revolution. There is WikiRate, and there is the B Corporation, where you can see who is listed on their register as well. So they have a complete directory. I know it takes time to do our research, and it slows down our process when we are buying anything. And let's face it, it's probably easier to do when you are looking at investing in larger financial purchases or consumer goods. It is not necessarily going to be top of your agenda when you go out shopping. You see something that really looks amazing. So what I would also say is, always follow my buying principles when you go out shopping for clothes and you haven't done your research. Is it something that you really love? Is it something that lights you up when you put it on and it looks really good? Is it in colours that really flatter you? And have you got at least 3 other things in your wardrobe that that item will go with? So you're not just buying items that you've got nothing else in your wardrobe that will go with. You've either got to go out and buy a complete wardrobe, or it's just going to sit there in your wardrobe with the tags on. So I hope that's been useful. As I said, my name is Carol Hanson. I am an image consultant. You can find me on these various platforms that I'm live streaming to at the moment. And if you hop on over to Facebook, please feel free to come over and request to join my group, Awesome Women with Style. And I hope this video has been useful, and I will come back and answer any questions in any comments. So thanks for your support if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this on the replay, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye for now.